Hi, this is Brad Linder with Liliputing, and I'm here with the ExoPC, which is an 11.6-inch tablet that is designed to run Windows 7, although it has a unusual touch-only interface for using Windows 7, making it a little bit easier to interact with your fingers. It has a capacitive touchscreen display, and sometimes Windows not the easiest thing to use with a capacitive screen, but this interface makes it a lot simpler. But before we get to that, let's take a quick look at the hardware. The tablet has on the side, power, headphone, HDMI, 2 USB ports, SIM card slot, and an SD card slot. On the top is pretty much just a vent. Nothing on this side, and on the bottom is a sort of docking station and some more vents. On the back, there's a power button here, and you can see the vents around the side, and just the ExoPC logo. As you can see, it's pretty slim, especially for something as large as an 11.6-inch tablet. The screen does automatically rotate, but it takes a moment to do so, and as you can see, this software is really sort of designed more for landscape than portrait mode, although you can exit out of this and go straight to a regular Windows 7 desktop. Like with most tablets I've used that have Intel Atom processors, its screen rotation is a little bit sluggish. Screen goes black for a second or two and then comes back on. While we're at the basic Windows 7 desktop, though, let's take a look at a couple of applications that are available here. Of course, you can run any Windows application here. You can plug in a keyboard and mouse if you like and use it like a regular computer, which it is. But you can also pull up this special settings menu, which gives you big icons for toggling the wireless on and off, the Bluetooth on and off. You can use auto brightness controls, or manually adjust the brightness, and you can toggle auto screen rotation and so forth. So that's the settings menu. In terms of other software, it's pretty much what you would expect. You can run Windows Media Center, Windows Media Player, Internet Explorer, and so forth. If we go to Internet Explorer from the default software here, you'll see that it is touch optimized, so you can use 2 fingers to drag or 1 finger to drag, 2 fingers to zoom. Zooming, I find, is a lot less precise in Windows 7, at least on a machine with an Intel Atom processor like this, than it is on devices like the iPad, which were really optimized specifically for this task. And the keyboard I'm not in love with. When you tap a text area, you get this keyboard, which is not that hard to use in portrait mode, because you can sort of reach your thumbs across. Well, actually, on this particular screen, because you've got the home and page up and so forth, it is pretty hard to use because those keys are very small. But especially on an 11.6-inch tablet, when you try to use that particular keyboard, it's a lot of reaching across here. So I find it's actually easier to use it with 1 finger while holding the tablet with another. That said, web pages load pretty quickly, and you do have support for pinch to zoom if you need to, although one of the advantages of having an 11.6-inch screen with a 1366 by 768 pixel display, zooming's not really that important. Let's take a look at the ExoPC custom software, which is really what makes this computer shine. And what you've got here are a series of little circles that you can use to add various programs. So you can go to sort of the Exo store here, and you can add apps, games, reading applications. The reading applications are mostly children's picture books at this point. But if you wanted to, say, add a games folder, a tools folder, MSNBC app, then they just sort of show up here, and you can launch it by clicking, or you can move it by tapping and holding, and then moving it to anywhere you like. So one application I added, for instance, is a basic keyboard application. Let's go back to the home screen here, take a look at a couple of other things. We've got map, which you can double tap to zoom in and drag around. You can also use pinch to zoom. Sorry, my stand is not that sturdy here. It's made for much smaller devices. Go back to the home screen. Let's take a look at Tools. There's a calculator, a radio application, and I'm not even sure what this is. Let's take a look. Looks like a clock. Now you'll notice that every time I load an application, you get a new icon over here. Say you want to go back and forth between them, you just tap. And if you want to close an application, just drag it off the screen. So overall, the interface is pretty handy. The App Store is, not the most complete in terms of applications that are available, but as ExoPC gains in popularity, we might see more developers writing apps specifically for it. And there's also volume up and volume down keys here. The user manual, I believe, says that there's supposed to also be screen brightness controls here, but I don't see them on this current version of the software. ExoPC has put out a couple of software updates and plans to continue doing so, though, so there's a chance that we could get new features as they move along. Overall, pretty impressed with what they've done here. They've sort of gone out of their way to make Windows 7 a little bit easier to interact with your fingertips, but you can also just close it, go back to the main Windows 7 interface, and do anything that you would want to do on a Windows computer. So if you don't want to use the ExoPC UI layer, you never have to, but if you find Windows itself to be kind of clunky, you can. Going back in for a second, it occurs to me I forgot to take a look at the web browser here, which is one of the applications you're most likely to use. When you first launch it, you'll see that you've got a bar for URL. You can just enter a website and hit go, or you can enter a keyword. So let's do tablet, hit search, and it brings up your default search engine, which on this computer is still Bing. And you've got a web browser, which again supports tap and drag or pinch to zoom. Although pinch to zoom feels even slower here, to be honest, than it does in the Internet Explorer on the main window. Overall, as I mentioned, pretty nice, but there are some things like the slow screen rotation, which can be a little bit annoying at times, and I blame that on the Intel Atom processor. It's nice that it comes with Windows 7 Home Premium, because that means that it does have some touch-optimized controls, such as press and hold to simulate a right click and bring up context menus. But that Atom processor, I've just found that in most Windows 7 tablets slows things down a little bit too much. Also, the 11.6-inch high-resolution display is great for viewing web pages, reading ebooks, and so forth, watching videos, but it does make for a kind of large, unwieldy machine, especially with a widescreen display. So if you're going to hold this to read an ebook or a web page, it's kind of heavy. Especially compared with something like an iPad, which is 1.6 pounds, or a smartphone, which is measured in ounces, not pounds. So, yeah, it's a little bit of a mixed bag. Probably one of the better Atom-based tablets that I've had the pleasure of testing so far, but I'm still not entirely convinced that this form factor makes a lot of sense for people looking for portable computers, depending on what it is you're looking for. If you're looking to hold it in both hands while sitting on your lap while watching movies on the train, maybe it'll work. If you're looking for web browsing, and again, you're going to be holding it in both hands, it's a capable device, but it's definitely not the fastest tablet around, and it's definitely not the easiest tablet to hold. This is Brad Linder with Liliputing.